Okay, I'm recording.
Cool. Okay.
All right, you want to pull your window up really quickly?
Yes,
Let me move this little guy a little bit so that it does the same and does not hit. Fucking A. All right. So when we start over there, I will start communicating.
Hello and welcome back to
Shut the
Road
fuck up.
Trip.
Oh fuck! You know what I just realized?
What's up?
My phone has the notes. All right, it's fine. I know because I was doing the research on this today.
Okay.
But yeah, that's fine. Fuck. It's that one right there. That turn off.
Okay, I think we can start.
Yes. Okay. All right. So hello and welcome to an episode of. Actually, let me start that again. Hello and welcome to an episode of Road Trip. How you doing, Rama?
I'm pretty good, man. How about you?
I'm doing all right. So today we're gonna be talking about. Actually, I think it's gonna be pretty fun. So we're gonna talk about how to make an EV engaging and fun, and then at the end we're gonna try to build our dream car basically.
Hell yeah.
So I think it's gonna be a little fun. Anyway, so before we start, how you doing?
I'm pretty good, man.
How's the last couple of weeks?
So I went to Texas for the first time, actually, in my life.
For the first
ever.
time?
Yeah, never ever been. I mean, I was never on a dance team or anything like that, and I never had family in Texas growing up. I feel like, especially living in the Bay Area and growing up here, I feel like I've seen an exodus specifically to Texas more than any other place.
Yes.
Like people have moved to San Diego, but people have moved to Texas way more, especially places like Frisco and Plano, which is like northern suburbs of Dallas.
So did you know? I actually don't know if you know, but I used to live in Texas.
I did not know this. Where'd you live?
Yeah, I lived in Plano in Dallas.
Nice.
Around Dallas, yeah.
So I actually spent the last week in Plano, funny enough.
Dude, it's a great place.
It is a really interesting place. I personally feel like I would go insane not having any driving roads because there's
That's so factual.
no hills or mountains whatsoever. It's a good place to grow up before you turn 16. After you turn 16, if you're a car guy, you might go a little bit insane.
But I mean, those are all that's like a muscle car location.
It is a muscle. It's a straight line location.
Yeah, it really is. And I mean, it's really nice.
It is very nice. I thought the weather was nice. Funny enough, there was like a flash flood one of the days that I was there.
Really?
But, yeah, on Wednesday. And then we specifically also went because it was my dad's uncle's 93rd birthday, as well as we wanted to see the eclipse with him together.
How's the eclipse?
The eclipse was kind of insane. Like, it's such a surreal feeling. Like not staying up and then having like the entire, basically what feels like a sundown event, it happened in like 4 or 5 minutes, because yes, there is a gradient, but it's only near the last 5 minutes that you really start to see that rapid change
in the brightness.
In brightness, exactly.
Take a turn here. That's interesting. How long did it last, like in total?
So apparently, if you were in Dallas specifically, you would get up to 4 minutes of complete totality, as in full occlusion with the moon in front of the sun. But we were in Plano, and funny enough, Plano is only like a half an hour north of central Dallas. And I did not expect that much variation between the 2 points, but because we were in our great uncle's backyard, we only got about 1.5 minutes of totality, as opposed to the 4 minutes that my dad had kind of like predicted. Or
okay, so this is a really random tidbit of information.
Yeah.
But did you know that during an eclipse, if you make like a pinhole like to
with your
put
hand.
a shadow through, that shadow will be in the shape of the eclipse.
Just like the way the light goes through trees and branches, like you'll see like crescents in the ground, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's pretty insane.
I don't know exactly
cool.
how it works, but it's super cool.
When you were in school, did you ever have to make a camera obscura out of like a shoebox or a box.
Yeah, I've done that before, not in school, but yes, I have done that before. It's
the same kind of principle you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Actually, you're projecting the overall overhead image and focusing it into a...
Yep.
Because technically what is happening, if you think of it in camera terms, is when you have an aperture that's bigger than 16 or 22, you have to focus for it, right? So if you're trying to get that nice blur, what that actually means is you have to set your plane of focus depending on how deep your plane of focus is. And if your aperture is closed all the way, you don't need to focus anything. So that's why, regardless of how close you are to the earth, like the ground, the camera obscura, meaning your finger in this case, can project that image cleanly, sharply, because there's that much light.
That is very interesting.
It's really cool. It's really cool how this stuff kind of triangulates and then focuses on into the ground.
That is really cool. Yeah. Anyway, so let's start our episode. So this is something I was thinking about because I was playing Gran Turismo.
Yes, sir.
So we're gonna go through kind of a couple of different aspects to a car, and let's just talk about like what would make an EV great driving experience. So I think the first biggest thing that like I can think of, and the thing that gives me trouble in Gran Turismo, is a sense of speed. I feel like in EVs, because of the lack of noise, you're not getting a real sense of speed as to how fast you're going relative to the sound that's happening around you.
It's funny you say that because we're in an EV right now that's you can easily get into felony type speeds without doing it at all.
Yeah, and without even thinking about it.
Without even being fully in control, because you put your foot down. And I feel like when you have gears in an automatic transmission car, you really feel that sense of that car is pushing against the natural friction of a transmission in each gear and winding it out. Yeah. And then you as the user, you as the driver, you're changing gear. But in EV, it's just unlimited, infinite go.
So this is what I was thinking about, right? Like so number one is, how would you create that sensation of speed in the EV? And I'm curious what you think of. To me, I think the best way that we can do that is by having like either like a fake gear or having an actual gearbox and limiting the revs on the motor.
This is a good point. Most EVs that ship right now are single gear EVs, except for the Porsche Taycan and the Audi RS e-tron, and they have a two-stage, basically a two-speed gearbox, but the second gear can only physically even initiate after 60 miles per hour or so. But if we were to put this in gasoline car terms, you could see their approaches to creating fake gears in the gas space. For example, a lot of Hondas and Nissans these days have CVTs because it's the cheapest transmission to produce. But they also have these fake gears. But have you ever found a fake gear to be really well done?
So I haven't, but I feel like with an EV specifically, because you have such fine control over the torque that you can put out, I feel like you can make it very realistic.
So in this scenario, how would you translate the experience of driving a gas car directly into this, where you control the acceleration, you control the rev band and the torque bands, like the power band and the torque band, until it hits a plateau and then it peaks and then it goes back down?
So I definitely think that for car enthusiasts, that's the way to go. I don't necessarily think that that's how you need to do it in order to have an engaging driving experience.
Exactly.
I think to have the engaging driving experience, you just need gears. So like even if you're saying that the torque band is exactly the torque band of one single gear, but it's split up into these different sections.
Correct.
I think that even just doing that will, at the very least, allow you to understand what like range of speed you're in. And I think that's the most important thing.
But wouldn't you agree with the fact that the amount of resistance that you experience in a gas car is also kind of what you want, because obviously if you're driving like a normal person in a gasoline car, if you're staying below 3,000 RPMs or so, you're not going to feel as much of that gear resistance. But as you climb into the higher rev ranges, you want more of that pullback feeling, which funny enough is exactly the opposite of what you would feel in an EV. Because the slower you are, the more regen you have. The faster you are, the less regen you have. So in this scenario, you would want to flip them. Correct?
Yeah, I haven't thought about that, but I think that would be
the best case scenario.
The best case scenario. I mean, to be honest, like even in a gas car, right? Like it is, at least in terms of like actually going through gears, you're at your most amount of torque in first gear, and you're at your least amount of torque in seventh gear.
Correct.
So from that perspective, I think it translates very well.
Is there a way to harness... Sorry, go ahead.
No, continue.
Is there a way to harness the performance advances of an EV and still try to put it in a enthusiast kind of package? Because a awesome thing about an EV is that you have all of your torque available all the time. So if you're able to give the ability to have all of your torque all the time in all of the gears, in all the virtual gears that we're creating, would that be better than a gas experience, or do you want that kind of delay in torque?
I don't think it matters. And the reason I say that is because in like gas cars, the reason that we miss like NA cars is because of their instantaneous response.
This is true. But also their predictable power delivery.
Yes. But the thing is, like, you can learn it, right?
Of course you can, yeah.
So like even just like having that virtual like breakup of
speed bands.
Of speed bands, yeah. Even just having that would like give you more. In my opinion, it would give you more than enough to understand the speed of the car, and I think that's the biggest thing that's missing out of EVs.
I see.
Is understanding the speed at which you're going.
This makes sense.
Yeah.
So a lot of so funny enough, I would say out of everybody in the EV space right now, Ford is not doing a fantastic job at making really good enthusiast cars. Funny enough, the company that I've seen the most effort and passion from is the Hyundai Kia group.
Dude,
isn't that hilarious?
The Ioniq, what is it? The Ioniq 5?
N or whatever.
The Ioniq 5N, it's the hatchback one.
Yeah.
Dude, that thing looks insane.
That
it looks
thing's
fire.
Insane, right? And they, funny enough, something you're talking about, a lot of the things you're talking about, they've tried to implement in their own way. They have fake noises that you're able to control.
Yes.
They have fake, not gears, but I guess regen levels, so that as you kind of blip higher, you can bring down the amount of regen or bring up the amount of regen.
Interesting.
So they have paddles, but the paddles, what they're realistically doing is they're increasing or decreasing the amount of regen, which thereby feels like when you put your foot down, the amount of it's like being in second or third gear, which is really useful.
Interesting.
Because when I drive a back road like this in my gas car, I love staying in second and third gear. Second gear for the record, most of the time. And the fantastic part about that is I don't have to use my brake. And of course, that same feeling exists in a regen EV car, but I feel like it's not the same kind of analog kind of, I don't know, animal feeling.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. It's not like rowdy.
It's not rowdy, exactly.
Yeah. That's part of what is missing.
But like people complain, like even BMW pre the EV transition, hybrid transition, has been pumping fake exhaust noise into the cabin.
Yeah, I mean that's an emission standard and everything. Like it's like all that bullshit.
But the enthusiasts will complain even when you have an EV that makes fake noise. So what is the correct solution here?
So, I think similar to how the BMW kind of like hate for it just kind of like died away, as you know, like as the regulations are getting stricter, like
you have no choice.
You just have no choice, right? If you want to create that enjoyable like sound in the car, you just gonna have to do something like that. Yeah. So I think that yes, people are gonna be upset about it initially.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it's gonna be like this like big thing that like over time people are just gonna be like, okay, whatever. Like the point of it is to get a more engaging car.
Correct.
And I think people can get behind that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What do you think are the biggest disconnects? Like, if you were to look at a perfect gas platform, for example, BMW is currently making an M5 version and an i5M version. One is fully electric,
Yes,
and one is fully gas, and they have to build
for the same,
a platform that can accommodate both, which is unique because whenever an automaker creates a platform that can be made into full one or the other, usually there's sacrifices.
Yeah. So I think you have to ground up a build for electric, right?
Because of the scale.
So yeah, let's transition into the next thing. So the next thing that I wanted to talk about was chassis tuning.
Yeah.
Right. So this falls in perfectly with that. Now, one of the things with gas cars that is super underrated and not noticed, but obviously this is something that I learned at the Porsche Experience Center, is the value of having a certain position to your, like, the majority of your weight. Right? Like the difference between a front engine and a mid-engine and a rear engine car. Such significant differences.
Slight deviation. Just quick question, because I still have questions about the Porsche. So in a standard front engine rear wheel drive car, 99% of the time your gas tank is either right behind the rear seats or right under the rear seats.
Yes.
In this scenario, does the Porsche have the gas tank in the front, or does it have it in the kind of like middle?
I think it's in the
under
middle.
The rear seats.
I think it's under the rear seats.
So that makes it even more unpredictable. I mean, not unpredictable, but you
the
basically
weight balance
have
is
zero weight over the front axle.
Yeah.
All you have is your steering column.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all suspension components in the under, because like you think like especially in a Porsche, right? You have the frunk there too.
Correct.
So there's no space to put like a gas tank.
Exactly. That's what I'm wondering. So I feel like directly under the frunk you do have the radiator and all of the cooling components for the stuff in the back.
Yes.
But in terms of the amount of weight and force you have on the front, you were saying you have to transfer all of your weight to the front before you make that kind of turn.
No, you want to keep it in the back for the Porsche. For the Porsche specifically.
But when you're making a turn, don't you want
you want the weight on the back. So that's why I was saying you brake earlier.
Yeah.
And then you have gas through the turn because you keep.
Then you can kind of like.
So the point is that it's all about the moment of inertia. So the moment of inertia on a Porsche is on the back.
Yeah.
Right. So if you take the weight off the back wheels and you try to turn,
then
you don't have any grip on the back.
No force anywhere. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's why you need to keep a little bit of gas on the back for Porsches.
Yes, makes sense.
But anyway, so going back to EVs with this, I think there is value in even having different types of setups in terms of where you're let's just say where you're keeping the battery, because the battery is the biggest moment of inertia.
Correct.
In the EV.
I think one of the biggest interesting aspects about an EV versus a gas car in chassis tuning is of course that, but when I go on a hill run in my gas car, I have to intentionally keep my gas tank at like half or below because I'm optimizing for the amount of weight that I want.
Yes.
But in EV, you have no control over that because you're always fully loaded all the time.
Yes. So you have very, very acute control of
exactly
what your chassis tuning is going to be like, and once it rolls off the lot, you're not really changing that for an EV, and I think there's value to that. So I think there's, I mean, I don't know what I feel like having the weight slightly behind the front seats would be ideal in terms of having a fun tuned car. Like, we're talking about enthusiast EV, right? So I think having the majority of the weight stack them behind the back seat and underneath the back seat. And I think the rest of, like, I know that a lot of EVs use their batteries as like structural components, like Teslas, for example, use their batteries as structural components. I think that there is more value in a sports car to having the weight
extremely low center of gravity.
Yes, an extremely low center of gravity, but also like having that moment of inertia feeling to the car.
Okay, yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, you're saying you want that Porsche characteristic where it is kind of like tail happy in
you want to be
EV.
able to, you want it to have character, and in an EV, how are you going to build character?
Yeah, the problem with EVs right now is that you feel invincible in any
Exactly.
EV no matter what.
But the thing is, like even this car, right? You're going really fast straight, but you try to turn, and there's not really like a response. It just either goes or it doesn't go.
Exactly. Yes. And it's funny you say that, because I feel like going forward, 99% of EVs, if they are performance oriented or the performance variant of their stock counterpart, you will, without a choice, always have all-wheel drive as an option.
Yes.
And
the great thing is you have torque vectoring and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So like from a performance standpoint, you have great options.
But it doesn't make you feel scared.
Yes, exactly.
It doesn't scare you.
And that's where the moment of inertia comes in.
Yeah.
And having the ability to control the moment of inertia in a car and like set it up to have fun, I think EVs really have that opportunity.
Yes.
They just haven't taken it yet because there isn't really like a market for it, I guess, right now, because enthusiasts want gas car.
So the Hyundai not Veloster, the Ioniq 5N and the Tesla Model 3 Performance, they both have track modes where you are able to send 80% of the power to the rear wheels. Actually, in the Model 3, you can send 100% of the power to the rear wheels and 0 to the front. Mm-hmm. You can basically cut off the front wheels, much like your car.
Yes.
And my question is that giving that control to the enthusiast?
There's value in that.
There's value in that.
In my opinion, there is. But I think that is not necessarily a part of chassis tuning, if that makes sense. We can just turn around.
Is this 580?
Yeah, it's 580.
We can take Crow Canyon.
We have plenty of options.
Yeah, exactly, this road. Continue.
What was I saying? I don't know what I was saying.
I was saying
chassis tuning. Yeah, so I don't think that's necessarily part of chassis tuning specifically.
You just mean suspension characteristics.
The reason I'm saying that is because you have like the BMW, the new M3, M4, mm-hmm. They have extra variants.
Correct.
But it's the same chassis.
Correct.
So I don't think it's necessarily a part of chassis tuning. I think it affects how the car drives and everything, but it's not like it doesn't influence the character of the car.
Okay, so
if that makes sense.
Let me ask it this way. If you could build a car from the ground up and you can just kind of point to the way some automakers, whether it's gas or electric, have designed their cars, which parts would you take from which companies and why?
For chassis tuning specifically?
For chassis tuning specifically.
Ooh, chassis tuning specifically. Okay,
this could be air suspension, hydraulic suspension, coilovers, whatever you want.
So here's in my opinion what would be the move. I think in terms of chassis tuning, the two companies that have it right now are Porsche, which is like a given obviously with the GT3 RS and everything.
Correct.
And I think in terms of character, in terms of chassis tuning, Lotus.
Lotus, of course, absolutely.
Yeah. Those two are wonderful, like drivers' cars, right?
Yeah.
So I think in terms of the front end, okay. So let's circle back to this after we talk about everything, because this is part of like the building your dream car. So we'll circle back to this, but definitely a good question and something I'll think about as we're going forward. So we covered the power delivery, and we covered the chassis tuning, right? The next thing, I think there's three mainstays that I was thinking about when we were trying to figure when I was trying to figure this out. Is the third one is steering feel.
Okay. Steering
feel, and when I'm talking about steering feel, I think a big conversation that has to be a part of it is how it feels in terms of weight.
Okay.
Because those definitely influence the driving characteristics and how you feel driving the car.
Correct.
So let me just start with this. In my opinion, hydraulic steering is far superior to anything else
Fully agree.
that we have right now. In terms of it, like so like, I really applaud McLaren because McLaren still has hydraulic steering in their cars.
Correct.
And it's crazy because, like, I know I told you this last time, but Porsche has wonderful cars, great cars, but they have electric steering, and I still, after driving that car, I still think my E92 335 had better steering feel than that car did.
So I'm actually not super well versed as much as I'd like in steering systems themselves, because I feel like I'm either fully electrified or fully analog.
Yes.
Right? So in this scenario, I feel like a lot of manufacturers choose to go electric because you can give the user control over the weight. If you're hydraulic, it's really hard to give that kind of feedback.
So it's not so much about the control as it is about the packaging. So a hydraulic system is, because of the fluids and stuff, inherently heavier.
Correct. But are you able
takes
to
up more space.
Control the weight in after the fact, like in a computer?
So what you can do is change the pumping speed of the pump.
Oh, you can. Okay.
And that will adjust the amount of
assistance
that you're getting. Yeah. Because like what you're basically saying is it's going through like a valve. Yeah.
Correct.
So it's going through some valves, right?
Correct.
And if you're pumping at a higher speed, you have a higher pressure, you can go through that quicker.
Correct.
So that way it becomes easier to control that. But yeah, like, in my opinion, for any company out there, if you're building a driver's car, I understand that there's value in electric steering, in terms of packaging, in terms of all of that.
Yes.
But my God, like, it just the amount of confidence that it gives you in a car, hydraulic steering, is just unmatched.
For the viewers that cannot tell the difference between the two, can you give a brief rundown as to your experience, as to what you feel in in your current M240i versus your E92 335i, which a lot of people compare very closely, but this is one of the main differentiating factors between the two cars. Sorry, I can't see anything. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the thing. I tell this to everyone, and it's to the point where I think that steering feel for me is the biggest selling point in a sports car.
That's
for me.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's huge. And the reason for that is, so yeah, like Rama said, I used to have a 335. Right now I have an M240. Don't get me wrong, I love the M240. It's a great car. It has all the power in the world. I just put catted downpipes on it, and it goes crazy. Sounds amazing. Everything about it is pretty great.
Yeah.
Except for the steering. And it's crazy because, like, I'm telling you, full transparency right now, I think that the steering feel on the car has genuinely detracted from my enjoyment of it, to the point where I still miss my car. I still miss the 335.
The old one.
Yes. Yeah. I still 100% miss the 335. Like, it's not a question. It's not even close to a question.
Yeah.
Like, if I had the option to go back and get that car right now, I would do it.
But you wouldn't replace your current car with it, would you? Because
no, and you know what? That's why I want the E60 M5.
Because it gives you everything you could want.
It gives you everything that I could possibly want in my life.
Yeah.
You got that V10, you got the hydraulic steering, like, it's a great chassis. Yeah. Like, well, what more could you want?
This is true. You make some good points.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So I don't know. It's difficult to explain, but I saw. I was watching this video. I don't know who made the video, but I was watching this video that did a pretty good job of explaining it. And what it comes down to is the vibrations that an electric motor takes away from the steering, the micro vibrations, while they are damped in a hydraulic system, they are not taken away.
You're saying the fluid, the characteristics of vibrations moving through fluid, as viscous as it may be, still gives you more performative feedback That's really cool.
Yeah.
More real, more understandable feedback than an electric motor, which might be simulating it, might be faking it, or just might be taking it away entirely.
Yeah. It basically comes down to the inertia that a live electric motor has.
I see what you're saying.
Do you get what I'm saying? Like a live electric motor has like a slight amount of play to it. No matter how well you built it,
Correct.
It has a slight amount of play to it, and that slight amount of play takes away the vibrations, the vibrations that you get through the car. Yeah, and that's the biggest difference that I feel between the hydraulic system in the E92 and the system that the EPS system that is in the 335, or sorry, the 240i. Now, that's not to say that you can't build an electric system well. I just think that there's like an inherent flaw in an electric system.
Is there a way you could bring those hydraulic characteristics to an electric system while still integrating the pros of an electric system? Like, is there a secondary, like, I don't know. Is there a way you could kind of bring that in?
So the only thing that I can... What the... All right.
I guess that's one way to go.
So he's right here. The turnout is right here. All right, whatever.
That's his driveway. He didn't want to turn around.
Anyway, so I think so I've thought about this, and in my opinion, the only real way that you can have kind of the best of both worlds is if you were to, instead of have your power steering pump connected to the engine, have it connected to an electric motor.
Correct.
That is the only option that I can think of.
Yeah.
Because
you're saying the pumping mechanism is electric, or whatever, but the fluid is still there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is because there is no way to remove that inertia from an electric motor.
For clarification, the current method of pumping in most gas cars is through a serpentine or accessory belt. So essentially, you're siphoning power
from
off
the engine.
Of the engine.
Yes.
And you're not really sending electrical power, but you're sending mechanical, rotational power into a pump, much like the AC compressor works in most cars.
Yes. So a lot of cars like that. So with an electrical pump, you can get that like change in
rapid change without having to like suck power from the
engine. So you can vary it based on speed. You can do all of those types of things.
Yeah.
But still have the feedback of a hydraulic steering system.
Yes, this actually makes a lot of sense.
That, in my opinion, that's the only way you can do it.
Is that how McLaren does it?
I think it is.
Because I feel like McLaren would not be the kind of company to have a system where you feel like a power.
Well, I think they would have to, right? With any like rear-engined system. Because
you're saying sending power has to be electrical because you don't have serpentine belt. Yeah.
So
I agree.
So I think any
mid-engine rear.
Yeah, but like I mean, like you can calibrate it and you can like make it like smaller.
That's actually a fantastic question. So let's pose a thought problem here. So we have the Toyota MR2. This is a car that was produced from the 80s to the 90s, different generations. They even have a 2000s generation. We're not going to talk about that. But it doesn't matter because regardless of what generation you talk about, they're basically almost the same car with some slight tweaks. Yeah. They have obviously a hydraulic rack and pinion in the front, and they have the engine right behind the front two seats. So how would they send power?
Probably it has to be electric. Either that or they have the pump in the back
going under the seats.
Yeah, either that or they have pumps in the pump in the back and the pipes go across.
Yeah,
that would be the only two ways to do it, right?
Yeah, but that means you have so much distance for the fluid to travel every time you make a user input.
Yeah, but it should be irrelevant in the sense that as long as you have pressure.
Oh yeah, because it's a closed system. You're just gonna.
As long as you have pressure, it shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, so yeah, those are the three things that I think make a well sorted driver's car a driver's car.
Yeah.
So now that we've kind of discussed that, let's make our dream car.
Fuck yeah.
All right, so we're just gonna pick from everything that we have in the world right now.
Alrighty.
Right.
So we're gonna start with this chassis.
So yeah, let's start with a chassis.
Okay.
So you give me your pick and then I'll give you mine.
In terms of any chassis that I could get out of any car that I've driven, I've driven a Cayman 718 GTS.
Beautiful car.
Fantastically
beautiful.
I would say the Cayman platform has a lot of advantages over the 911 platform, but since the 911 is the halo car of Porsche, they always kind of neuter the Cayman.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of feel, seating, and everything, just pure the size of the car, the dynamics of the way the car moves, I would say the chassis and the size of a Cayman, the 2-seat, is how I would start. I would like that overall wheelbase.
Yeah.
I would pull the wheelbase, the width, and the length of the Cayman. Okay, so that's gonna be my chassis. We're not talking about battery yet.
Yeah.
So just chassis.
Just chassis. Well, that's really funny you say that because my pick was the new Cayman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And yeah, the chassis that they have for the GT4 RS.
What is the new Cayman? Is it not 718?
The 718.
So we're talking about the same car.
I thought you said the I thought you said the 987
No,
generation.
It's 718.
Yeah.
718 GTS is.
Yes. That chassis
funny.
is beautiful. Just god tier.
Yeah, it is god tier.
It's just one of the best, I think, that I have experienced.
Did you have an option to drive a GTS when you went to the 718?
I had an option to drive the GT4 RS if I wanted to.
So the GT4 RS 718 Cayman has the same engine as the GT3 RS?
GT3.
911?
I think it's the GT3.
Not the RS.
Not the RS.
So what is the main difference between GT3 and GT3 RS? It's a 3.8 liter versus a 4 liter?
No, I think they're both 4.
Okay.
I think the tuning of it is just a little bit different. There's probably like the intake and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Is probably like what is the primary differentiator.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, I think they're very, very similar.
Okay, fantastic. So we have the chassis. Now we're going to talk about the motors. So do you want the motors in the front and rear to be even, or would you like it to be rear biased?
Okay, so at this point we can pick whatever the fuck we want, right?
Yeah.
So I think as of right now, the most ideal system is a hybrid system with the engine powering the back and motors powering the front too.
Much like the BMW i8, the Acura Honda NSX 2nd gen, and what other cars have this system?
I think the 918 also has this system.
918 also has this system, hybrid system.
Yeah.
LaFerrari and P1 also have this system.
No, because the LaFerrari and P1 are exclusively rear-wheel drive.
They're exclusively rear-wheel drive, but they're both hybrids.
Yeah, but like so I'm saying like
the
engine
electric motors powering the rear wheels too.
I'm saying electric motor only power the front wheels.
Yeah, in the LaFerrari and the P1 are the electric
only
motors
rear-wheel drive. So
even the electric motors only
electric motors over the engine.
So how are they doing that? Oh, it's just a normal hybrid system where there's a transfer case.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly what the system is, but yeah, it's something like that.
Interesting.
But anyway, it's only rear-wheel drive in those cars. So I think that is the ideal setup. And then in terms of a motor,
okay, let's think about weight distribution, meaning front and rear. 1, 2, total curb weight, as in a car with all of its fluids and all of its gasoline in this circumstance, fully charged. Because whether you believe it or not, there is a micro difference between a car that's discharged and a car that's charged.
Yes,
and
electrons.
Yes, electrons are heavy. And then also curb weight, weight distribution, and what else? What else is a bounding box for how a car needs to work? Total power in terms of torque and horsepower. So go ahead.
So
how heavy would it be?
So this is what I'm thinking, right? Like the most ideal situation, and I think Porsche is developing a similar system for the next generation turbo.
Okay.
Right.
Meaning the next 911 that'll be a hybrid.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
That one. Yeah, so it's a mild hybrid.
Yes.
And the battery technology system that they use is similar to supercapacitors, and I don't know if you know what those are.
Yes.
But basically,
Rapidly
for those of you,
discharging and rapidly charging.
For those of you who don't know, supercapacitors are a type of storage system that can discharge basically instantaneously.
And this distinction is important because as we moved, because one of the biggest holdups of the EV system right now is charging, right? Like you don't, even if you have a shit ton of fun when you're driving, you don't want to have to wait those 45 minutes to an hour just to charge the car.
Yes.
And when we first started building EVs in the 90s, in the 2000s, we didn't have good lithium-ion technology. So they were losing something called LiFePO, which is a different chemistry. As we moved into the 2000s and phones started to become more ubiquitous, smartphones, you needed a longer reaching high capacity output. So we started parallelizing these small AA size batteries, which is essentially what this car has, lithium ion batteries.
Yes.
But the problem with lithium ion batteries is that you have this severe discharge rate and also like charge heat that it accumulates, and like if you're fast charging a lot, then the health of the battery goes down and it needs to stay between 20 and 80% to stay optimal health. All of this shit matters. But as we go more and more towards EVs that can be charged faster and faster, you have to change the voltage rating. So for example, a lot of early EVs or like standard EVs that are sold right now are built on 400 volt system architectures. That means there's a specific amount of voltage that comes into the inverter when you plug it in. But then Porsche and VW, because VW is the owner of the Audi and Porsche groups.
It's so funny because
they have an 800 volt system architecture.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, this is a completely random tidbit of information.
Yeah.
But did you know that VW owns Porsche, but Porsche owns VW?
I did not know this. What does this mean?
It's a really convoluted like system. So basically what happened is, when Porsche was created way back when, when they didn't make sports cars and shit.
356 time.
Well, this is before that time.
Before 356 time.
Yeah. So at that time they were like owned. They were all owned and operated by Porsche, right? So there was some like financial issues that were occurring that made them need to sell, but they still wanted to be able to control their stuff. So what they did was Porsche, as a full company, split into two parts. Porsche, the intellectual stuff, and then Porsche, the actual car manufacturing division.
Porsche IP versus Porsche factories.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. You can't quote me on this, but something like that, right? So they split, and then they sold their car division to
the factory assembly system.
So they sold their car division to VW. Okay. Right? That got them out of their financial troubles.
Yeah.
Then later, I don't know how. I think this was like World War II or something like that.
Okay.
VW goes into financial trouble, and Porsche, the more corporate Porsche,
the IP company.
Yes, buys a controlling share in VW. So now, Porsche owns VW, but VW owns Porsche.
So realistically, if you zoom out, Porsche owns VW.
Yeah.
Really?
That's why they have so much autonomy. Think about the level of autonomy they have compared to any of the other
This is true.
The other owned companies.
Audi, Bentley, who
everything. Rolls-Royce.
No, who else is owned by VW?
Oh, VW?
Skoda, Audi, Bentley. Who else?
Bentley, Lamborghini. All of those.
That's basically it. Right?
Yeah. But yeah, you think about the level of autonomy that Porsche has compared to all of those.
Wow, that's truly insane.
Yeah. Anyway, random tidbit of information.
That's really interesting because that means Porsche really has no inclination or reason to share their platforms with any other sub-brand of VW. So the fact that they are producing the RS e-tron says a lot about, I guess, their push for wanting to electrify stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But that also goes to show, like, they're like chassis tuning and stuff, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Obviously, there's a very, very small minority of people that have driven a Lamborghini.
Yeah.
I happen to be one of them just because of the experience. They have like...
what Lamborghini did you drive? Like,
I drove a Huracan.
Very nice.
So I drove a Huracan in Las Vegas on a track, right?
Las Vegas Speedway?
Yeah. I don't know what I forget what it was. Anyway, so I drove it on a track. And to say that a handling of that vehicle is bad is such an understatement.
But fundamentally, isn't that car an Audi R8 under the body?
It is. But it's like, dude, it understeers like a fucking boat.
But does it at all have similar performance characteristics to a Porsche platform? Because
it doesn't. It does not feel anything like
mid-engine / rear engine.
It doesn't feel anything. It just feels horrible.
That's funny.
Like, it genuinely, like okay, I have a friend. His name's Neil. He did the same thing, and he went, and he's not a car guy, right? He's very specifically not a car guy, and we were talking about this because I was like telling him about my Porsche experience and everything, and he was like, yeah, dude, like I drove like 3 or 4 cars. The Lamborghini is horrible. Even the R8 is better, and that's crazy because it's the same platform.
There can't be that much difference.
Apparently there is.
Wow. That in a bad way.
In a bad way.
Would you say, how was the steering feel on the Lambo?
Dog shit.
It's hydraulic though. Or
It's
is it
not.
electric?
It's electric.
It's electric?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It was terrible. It was one of the worst driving experiences I've had.
That's so funny because a lot of people tout the Audi R8 as like a fantastically driving car.
But Audi R8 maybe. But we're talking about
But that much deviation is kind of crazy.
It is crazy. But like he said it himself, he doesn't know anything about these cars, right?
Yeah.
So he doesn't know that they were built on the same platform.
Yeah.
But he was very like clearly like, oh yeah, like I really hated the Lamborghini, but the Audi was great.
Can you show me the old road again?
Yes. Let me. Oh, it's right there.
Just press and hold somewhere. Yeah. Okay, got it. Just go there. That's really interesting because in this scenario you have the same exact problems or pros, however you think of it, as the Porsche, because you have a lack of weight over the front axles and you have all of your weight behind you essentially.
Well, it's also an all-wheel drive system.
Are they all-wheel drive?
The
Huracan is.
The Huracan is all-wheel drive.
Are all Audi R8s and Huracans all-wheel drive?
Not all of them. There are some that are manufactured in a rear-wheel drive configuration.
Interesting.
But that is a small minority of them.
Because the majority of them are quattro or whatever.
Yeah, the original system is all-wheel drive.
So where were we? We were trying to figure out what the best power delivery system would be for our Cayman-based.
So okay. So this is what I'm thinking, right? We need an exotic engine here.
Okay.
But we also want it to be lightweight because of the.
So Lotuses use Camry
engine.
V6s.
Okay, we're not talking about
because
Lotus.
They're aluminum, they're light, and they're super reliable, and you can run the shit out of them.
However, there is a Toyota engine.
Yes.
That is the one that I am wanting to pick.
No way? What is it?
Yes. And it is the LFA engine.
Oh, okay.
Because
that makes sense.
think about
the V10.
Okay, the V10, it's super lightweight. It's a smaller than average V10.
It's aluminum.
It's aluminum block. It screams like a motherfucker.
Yes.
Like, what is there not to like about that engine?
There's nothing not to like.
There is literally nothing. Like it has low torque.
So in this scenario, why would you not pick the V10 M5 engine?
Because the LFA engine is just simply better.
Okay.
Nothing much to it. It's just the LFA engine is just elite.
Was the Huracan you drove a V8 or a V10?
There's only V10 Huracans.
There's only V10 Huracans.
Yeah.
Okay. Really? There's no twin turbo V8s?
No. Huh. There's no. The second generation of Audi also did not have
any V8.
A V8. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It was only the first generation.
Interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna get the V8 out of the Lexus LFA.
V8?
Sorry, V10 out of the Lexus LFA, and we're gonna put it behind 2 seats.
Behind 2 seats.
Would it be midship or would it be?
It would be
all the way
midship,
in the
right?
back?
Because it's a Cayman.
It is a Cayman platform, but
Midship,
we're
midship
just
for sure.
using the Cayman platform to tell us.
Yes,
the overall
but
size.
if we move the engine to the back, then it's gonna be
More 911.
more 911-esque
Yeah.
in its handling.
Okay, sounds good.
So yeah.
Okay, so how much power do we want this engine to make?
I mean, how much power does the engine make? I actually
like
don't know off the top of my
500-ish.
head. That's good enough for me.
Rear-wheel drive though.
500 to the rear. Let's say like a 200 motor to the front.
200 horsepower electric motor.
Yeah, so 700 total.
So in this car we have 500 in the rear and roughly 300 in the front
Yeah, so 200.
for the amount of weight.
Yeah.
So let's look at the other.
That'll provide you your launch too, right?
Exactly. So but let's look at the other packaging characteristics of where we need to put stuff. So if we have an electric motor in the front, we're going to assume it's permanent magnet, so it's tiny, and it's also very compact and highly efficient, and it can go from 0 to 60, which means it doesn't need to kick on. Okay. So it's always on all the time and always
Yes.
pulling power.
Yes.
Where
Okay.
are the batteries going to go?
Batteries? Okay, so this is where I think that we should adopt the because we already have an engine. We already have the moment of inertia system
Correct.
in place, right? So we don't necessarily need that, and
And we don't need
we're
that
using-
much battery.
Yeah, and we're using supercapacitors, which are different from batteries. They're not as heavy as batteries.
Correct.
And all of that. So
Would you put it in the front
so
or under
I would
the seats?
I would put them under the seats.
Nice.
Right, and so you're when I say under the seats, I mean specifically under the seats,
Under the drivers and passengers.
because that
That keeps the weight
it's
low.
like, it's also like, I don't know if you think about this, but like when I'm driving, I feel the mass of the car around me,
Oh yes.
and any mass that's directly underneath me is not going to feel like it's mass around me.
You usually forget about it and it's kind of invisible.
Yeah,
almost,
yeah.
Because
So-
you feel like it's part of
So
you.
by having it in this area, you're gonna improve. You're gonna like basically like take it out of your brain.
How about the tunnel? Would you put any batteries in the
You
tunnel?
wouldn't need any tunnel.
Not tunnel, but like everybody has some kind of a console.
I mean, I guess you can, but it would depend on the capacity, right?
Okay.
But just in this general area.
Okay,
So that you're removing yourself from the, or you're removing that weight from like your brain almost.
So if we've put the batteries under the seats, where is the gas tank gonna go?
Gas tank. Ooh, you're
Because you
so-
could do this two ways. You could split the gas tank in two, put half of it under each
Where's-
seat,
wait,
and then
oh.
put the batteries here.
So where is? Oh, actually, I could fuck with that.
That actually works, right?
That does work very well. I think that would be viable. Those guys are definitely having fun.
I'm gonna be them soon. Okay, so that works because the thing is, the sloshy aspect to a car, you want to keep as low as
Low
possible.
as possible, exactly.
The batteries can be higher because they're super dense, and they're
So
not
if we're saying
not
they're
gonna
in the
have
tunnel,
moving inertia.
that's kind of crazy, but also that's the type of engineering that I want for this.
It's the type of engineering you would want because the amount of battery that you're putting in is going to be not north of 8-10 kilowatt hours,
Yeah.
and that's pretty
Um,
small.
I'm actually very curious now where the gas tank is in the current Cayman.
Oh, in the current case.
Because to me, like I'm thinking about it, like
Wouldn't it be
if
under the
we're using the Cayman itself, right? Like obviously we're like, this is a make believe car
Correct.
and everything, but if we're using the Cayman itself, where would that is not the location.
So go ahead.
The Chevron, yeah, that's the one.
Where would the?
Where would the gas tank be in the actual Cayman? Because
Well, you
as
only
far
have
as
so
I
many
know-
options. You have the frunk, you have under the seats.
that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure that under the seats is
Is an
such
option
a
in this
viable
case.
option, because it's so low to the seats are so low.
That's true. You're basically on the floor when they came.
Yeah. So I'm actually curious what the. Let me see if I can search.
So the
this.
only remaining space you have in a Cayman would have to be in the frunk.
No, because they have a proper
But how
functioning
deep is the
front.
frunk?
It's pretty deep.
Huh.
It's like fully functioning.
And how big would you say the capacity, the fuel tank capacity? Like 12?
Probably something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, okay. Either way, let's just say like most of the power storage is like in this general area.
In the console area.
In this console area, under the seats, that sort of area.
Is this car going to be manual? Because this is entirely possible if you have a normal backwards-facing transmission and a full only gas engine in the back that doesn't have to do any Atkinson cycling.
Yes. I would be tempted to say no because the PDK is just, it's so good.
Okay.
It's so good.
So we're using a Lexus LFA V10 with the Porsche PDK paddle system DSG.
Yes.
Sick.
Sounds fire, does it not?
Sounds fire. This is okay. For the record, all of the enthusiasts that have been avidly watching Toyota and all of their random ass partnerships over the last couple of years, there was an actual rumor that Toyota was going to make an MR2 successor on the 718 platform.
Really?
Until COVID happened. Because they had an org in Japan working on that right next to the org that was working on the B58 Supra.
By the way, this is totally random. I don't know if I told you this a little while ago, but like my parents are cool with me buying a Supra.
Oh,
question mark?
As well?
They like I would sell my car.
Oh,
but
why would they care then?
But like no. The thing is like this was completely a joke to them.
Oh.
So like basically what happened is like we're selling our minivan. Right?
Yeah.
So my mom has like a friend that works at the Toyota dealership.
Okay.
And he was like, yeah, like I can get you discounts on like whatever car you want.
But what does a discount mean in this circumstance?
Like at least 10%.
Wow. What the fuck?
So like legitimate like discount.
How does he make any money?
Right?
Okay.
So I was like jokingly, I was like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna buy me a Supra and I'll sell my car and I'll buy you the Porsche SUV that you're trying to get.
Would you really have a 2-seater Supra over your 2+2 M40 Xi?
So the thing is like, it was a joke.
Yeah.
And then my parents were like, okay, we'll take a look. And I was like, oh, hold on. Okay, hold on. Yeah. So this is actually a possibility. So apparently they found a Supra for me.
What the hell?
Yeah. This guy found a Supra. And he was like, oh yeah, like we can try to arrange a test drive and everything.
Wow.
So I was thinking about this.
Steak or no steak?
I don't know. I have no idea.
No, what would you do?
Oh.
Because it is the same exact transmission as what you have right now.
Yes.
Exact same. So you know what you would get yourself into if you were to get an automatic. Basically be the same power.
I do think I would go with a manual.
Good.
For the experience.
Is there auto blipping in that car?
Yeah, there is.
Not that you need it, I'm just curious. But you would lose power to the front two wheels.
I would lose power to the front two wheels. But this is what I was thinking, right? Like now that my parents are just like randomly fully on board with this, I was like, okay, so what would cause me to say, okay, like it's been less than a year since I bought my car.
Correct.
So what would cause me to say, fuck it, let's jump ship to the Supra platform?
The question is, what downsides do you see in your platform that you think are upsides in the Supra platform? It's not like those hydraulic steering.
So exactly. So, but that's the thing. I've heard that the Supra steering is really, really great compared to...
tuned by Toyota?
Yes.
It is tuned by Toyota.
And I've heard that it's really, really great compared to the equivalent Z.
Z4, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that makes me curious. I
think you should drive a Supra and a Z4 back to back.
I think I should just drive a Supra in my car.
I think you should drive all three back to back because you have yours. Fuck that. You can drive yours after you do. No. That's what I'm saying. It is relevant, but you don't have to like think about how you get there. You should go to BMW dealership, drive a Z4, drive a Supra, and then drive your car home, and then you'll know exactly what you want.
Yeah. So I'm like trying to think like what would cause me to sell my car and buy the Supra, and it would have to be steering that feels
better,
like how my old car did or better. That is genuinely.
But it's electric.
The only thing I know. But like that's the only thing that would like sway me.
So you drove a 911 GT3 RS that had electric steering, correct?
Yeah.
And you said you liked your E92 335i.
Yeah, no,
better.
you heard that right.
So is there a world in which the Supra electric feels better than the GT3 electric or any other Porsche?
I mean, the only way to know is try.
Is to try. I agree.
Yeah. I've heard good things about it. I've heard that the steering on the Supra is good. That it feels great.
That's awesome to hear.
But like, yeah, like it really would like.
Would if the steering was better, would it make up for the loss of power to the front two wheels?
Oh, absolutely. Because
Really?
honestly, I don't care.
You don't care?
I could not care less.
Okay, interesting.
Because it's really funny.
I feel like all-wheel drive matters to me a lot.
I could not care less. So before I continue with this, let's finish our car.
Oh yeah, sure.
Or is that it?
We can just talk. No, we're not done. We have so much.
What else do we have left in building?
Okay, what is your estimated curb weight, and what would your weight distribution be?
Curb weight would be 3,500. Weight distribution would be 40-60.
40-60. Okay, sounds good. Okay, next is we know the amount of power we're getting.
Steering.
Steering. Okay, so
the E92 M3 rack.
I have a really interesting story and kind of excerpt, but it ties directly into this.
Okay.
In today's EV landscape, there are cars that are trying to bring back the wow, look at 4W steering. It can do anything and solve all your problems because you have a long, big ass car kind of thing. The Hummer EV currently does this. Chevy Silverado EV does this.
Wait, you mean four-wheel?
Four-wheel steering, correct.
Okay.
And so this is an interesting, something that I actually kind of nerded out about when I was young, because my dad used to have a 1991 Honda Prelude SI four-wheel steering. This Honda is such a cool company, and people do not even process the fact that they have been putting four-wheel steering into almost like all of the, not Honda specifically, Acura has been putting four-wheel steering into almost all of their lineup for the last like 30-40 years. And that's a crazy thing, because no other manufacturer does this. Every time on the back of an Acura you see SHAWD, that SH is four-wheel steering, super handling. And so in the 90s and 80s, when Honda did that, they were doing it purely hydraulically. So they had a hydraulic steering rack in the front and one in the back. And what's crazy is that they had to create an analog computer that when you were over a certain speed, a solenoid would flip and it would go from being opposing angle to the same angle. So clarifying what this means, when you're below 20 miles per hour, if you were to turn lock left or right, the rear wheels would go the opposite way to shorten your turning circle. But when you're going over 25 or 30 or whatever the cutoff was, it would go the same way to aid you, But they did that purely hydraulically.
That's really cool.
I know our car is only as long as it came in, but would four-wheel steering be something you would be interested in?
Yes. Now, there is a very specific four-wheel steering system that I would be interested in.
What is it?
And it is the one that that Lamborghini is currently developing.
For the new Aventador or successor?
It's the I actually don't know if it's in the new
Aventador, the hybrid thingy.
The hybrid one, yeah. What's the name of that car?
I don't know. I keep forgetting.
I don't know. It's irrelevant.
The stupid name.
Anyway, but basically, what it is the hub. The hub has
like a plate that moves back and forth.
The hub has the ability to articulate.
But how? Like, does it have?
I don't know.
Like 4 electric motors that are.
I don't know how exactly pneumatic. It works.
That would be. Really
but the hub has the ability to articulate in all directions, and what this means, which is I think the coolest thing ever.
Oh, I just thought of something. All right, go ahead.
But this means that it can vary the suspension or the what's it called? The alignment.
Yes. On
the fly.
So that's so funny that you're talking about this. I just had a flashback to a video I was watching about Mercedes F1 cars having, so the push pull. So essentially, for those of you that don't know, in a pilot setting, so Airbus planes have a yoke. As most people on YouTube, but Boeing planes
up and down.
have not a yoke, a joystick, and Boeing planes have a yoke, much like Boeing planes have a yoke, much like the ones you see in the new dumbass Model S, right? And so what's happening there is when you push in a plane, you're pitching down. When you pull out, you're pulling up, just like a joystick would be. But in the F1 car, when Mercedes and Lewis Hamilton first started going out with that a couple of years ago, he was pushing and pulling the steering wheel back and forth, and everybody was like, what the hell are they doing? Because there was no rule against this. But he was actively changing the amount of toe in his front and rear wheels.
Just front wheels.
Just right, front wheels in real time. And that's truly insane, because that means
is super sick.
you can optimize for straight line performance, or you can optimize for carving.
Yes.
And I don't know if I would necessarily change the toe, but you think it would be interesting to change the camber of the rear wheels in real time?
I think you can do both.
That would be super cool. Because if you have...
But if it's literally built, like that system, like I was reading about it,
yeah,
it's built to be able to do all of that.
Let's say you have, I'm just thinking mechanically, let's just say you have a ball joint that the hub is on that also has a spindle system, similar to how this car is actually built. I'll explain that later. And then you have 4 pneumatic or hydraulic actuators on all 4 poles, meaning east, west, north, south. And then those can, like in real time, just kind of pull and push in order to compensate.
Yeah. So
that would be super cool.
So that's what I'm saying. So like rack out of the specifically the E92 M3.
Okay.
That E92 M3 rack is a hydraulic rack that has the same steering ratio as the 458 Italia.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so it has a really like short.
How short? Like, do you know how many turns to lock?
I think it's like a turn and a half or something like that.
Nice.
Pretty short.
Do you like Tesla steering ratio? Because they're all 1-to-1. Like every single Tesla is 1-to-1.
I mean,
except for the new ones.
I don't mind it. Because for me, like, I honestly don't care for Tesla steering because I hate the steering feel.
Not the steering feel. I'm just talking about like the steering ratio.
I mean, I think it's fine.
Like, would you have even shorter than that?
No, because it makes
every input too much.
On the highway especially.
How much deadband do you like? How many degrees of deadband?
No.
Zero degrees.
Zero, nothing.
Wow. Okay.
That's one thing that I really applaud Tesla for is the amount of the amount of deadness.
It's very precise.
It's very precise.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I do like even in my car, bro. It pisses me off.
Then you have too much deadband.
It's too much.
How many degrees do you think you have? Like 4?
It's like 3.
Wow.
But it's too much.
It's too much. Yeah.
It's too fucking much.
So we're getting the hydraulic rack and pinion from the E92 M3. Are we also putting that in the rear?
No. Because the hubs.
Oh, the hub
system can do the steering for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is doing both toe and camber.
Yeah, it can do everything.
Fantastic. Okay.
So
next.
So I think that's it, right?
No, we're not done. So we have to talk about braking.
Braking?
I don't think braking is covered. So this is a huge distinction, and I've been an EV car nerd since I had my first science fair project in elementary school. So people don't realize this, but 99% of the EVs and hybrid cars that launch today have a computer that's specifically working on braking transfer. So in a Prius, or any other hybrid for that matter, when you brake above 30 miles per hour, most of that power is being sent to the electric motors. And the problem with that is if you like a good brake feel, you'll feel this kind of sticky engaging. And so you'll feel like this kind of on-off kind of feeling, similar to the way, you know how the haptic button feels on the PS5 controller?
Yeah.
You know how it kind of like sticks in, sticks out? Kind of like clicks in? That kind of electric actuation actually kind of neuters all of the braking feedback. And in Tesla specifically, because you have permanent magnet motors, they actually have 0 regen in the brake pedal. The brake pedal is 100% hydraulic, and all of the regen is in the gas pedal. So when you are driving a Plaid or a Performance Model 3 and you're stepping on the brake, you feel everything in the brake pedal. And I really love that because every time I've driven a Hyundai Ioniq or a Ford Mach-E or any other car, even the Taycan for that matter, I do not like the fact that I can feel the motor regen in the brake pedal. And I think it needs to be made a clear distinction that this car should have fully, because it's a hybrid, it should be a fully friction brake.
Okay.
Brake pedal.
Sounds good.
Okay, what else do we have? We have...
So right now, Cayman chassis, 200 horsepower motor over the front, and the LFA V10 in the back. 700 horsepower total output.
8-speed.
8-speed Porsche PDK.
Are we keeping the same red line? Like 9?
Hell yeah. Why would we not?
Why would you not?
There's absolutely no reason to take that red line away.
Okay. Is there an LSD?
M3 steering.
Yes.
With the Lamborghini new hub thing that they've
Hub
got going
actuation,
on.
yeah, okay.
For toe correction and everything.
Yeah, I can't do this. Okay. What else do we have?
And then you said fully hydraulic braking. I think that's everything, right?
I think there's more.
There's more. What more could you?
We're building a car from the ground up. We got to think like an engineering team.
We got to think like an engineering team.
So what else is there in terms of driving characteristics? Let's virtually imagine getting into this car. What do we care about? Size of the steering wheel. How big would you want that to be?
The Porsche steering wheel is really nice.
Porsche steering wheel.
Not even gonna lie. It's
Okay.
it's like about yay big.
Flat bottom or no?
Flat bottom's nice.
How many pipes in the rear? 2 or 4?
We're using a Cayman chassis, right?
Using a Cayman chassis, but it's an LFA engine.
Yes.
And that car has 4 pipes.
3 pipes.
3 pipes. That's like one of the most. Sorry, so I was thinking of the like.
No, I honestly think that like the 2 pipe in the center with the Porsche is gorgeous.
The 2 pipe in the center.
Yeah.
You don't like the triangle?
No.
Oh.
I don't like the triangle.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, I think it works for the LFA.
Do we have an active wing?
Active wing.
So like a lot of Porsches have these duckbills that deploy, and then the LFA has a fully articulating wing.
I think just as a driver's car, I don't think that we should worry about like the downforce type of thing too much. More like a GT2 touring.
Okay, I understand.
Right.
Okay.
And I think that's where we're at.
I think there's some more stuff we have to think about. Headlights don't really matter. Inside of the car doesn't really matter.
I think in terms of like driving dynamics, you got your double wishbone suspension that comes with the chassis.
If the electric motors are in the front, would you want your intakes to be between the B and C pillars, or would you want it to be
the intakes are like
in the front?
In the
For the LFA, yes.
Huh?
For the LFA, yeah.
No. For the GT4 RS,
Oh,
they're like up in this thing.
Oh, okay. So that means that do you know if the radiator is in around there as well?
So they have an intake here, and then I think they have the intake behind the this thing as well.
Okay.
So one of the 2 is the radiator,
Okay.
and obviously the front radiator, whatever.
Alrighty. So I think we have our car.
Dude, this sounds like a fire car.
Would this car be a hatchback kind of fastback design, or would it have a fixed rear glass?
Hatchback, probably.
Would it have a removable T-top like the new C8, where it's fully structurally integral in the base without having to throw rods through?
I think carbon hood though, to like reduce the
carbon hood, maybe carbon roof as well.
Carbon roof, sorry.
Yeah.
To reduce the center of gravity, or like make it lower.
Okay, now we gotta draw this car up.
Dude, that's crazy. We should honestly. What if we
should make it in Assetto Corsa?
No. What if we just ask ChatGPT to make this for us?
Oh, like draw it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably would work. Is there anything we forgot? Nothing?
No, I think that is like in terms of the driving aspect of it, that's everything.
Huh.
I think it's fire though.
It's fire, yeah, I agree. What characteristics of a Lotus can we adopt that we don't have already? What is very Lotus about Lotus?
What is very Lotus about
What
Lotus?
makes a Lotus a Lotus? The stripped down nature?
Yeah. I'd say like the lightweight, like.
But the 718 platform is already very Lotus.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. I think that's why we picked the 718, right? Like it's very similar to the Lotus in terms of what
the approach as to what is important in that car.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good shit.
Yeah. All right. Well, awesome, man. This was pretty good. I think we can stop here before we bore the shit out of people even more.
We can just keep talking and then
we can keep talking. Dude, I was telling you something. Fuck. What was I telling you?
Earlier?
Yes, I was telling you something. before we finished the car, I was like, oh, I'll get back to this, but I'm a fucking idiot, so I didn't.
This is Fuck. Oh, you were asking about where the gas tanks would go?
No. It wasn't about the gas tanks.
Oh, okay.
It was something to do with the car or like the, what's it called?
Is Indian? No, I'm blind.
Nobody. It was something to do with the fucking, I think it was the, I can't even word right now.
Can't even word right now.
Fuck. It had to do with the Supra, I think.
Okay, so what are the main things we would get otherwise than steering? So steering is great. Okay?
Dude, that's the only thing. Genuinely, that's the only thing.
All you want from the Supra?
It has to be good enough to make up for the fact that the car only has 2 seats.
Is that a big deal to you? Not having your seats?
I think it is like significant, like just because like
makes it a little less dailyable, right?
Yeah, it makes it less dailyable. I also like want to hang out with friends and toss them in the car.
What's the wheelbase difference between those 2 cars?
The Supra's way shorter, actually.
Yeah, that makes sense because
I think that makes a difference. Honestly, like,
and also the trunk is a lot shallower. Your trunk is gigantic for your car.
It is pretty big, yeah.
And that trunk doesn't go that deep.
I can fit a full set of clubs in my trunk. It is pretty good.
I don't know. If I were in your position, I would not be able to let go of a car like yours for a Supra. I know the Supra is like a halo car, but your car is more perfect in a lot of ways to me.
I know. I love my car, and to be honest, like if I were to go for like a really like if I were to like ask myself, what would make me sell my car right fucking now?
Yeah.
I think it would be like either an M2 comp that comes up for like 40K.
Yeah.
That would like immediately I would be like, okay, I'm trading this in later. Don't need it.
Is there a difference between an M2 comp and an M2 CS? Or is there an M2 CS?
Yeah, the CS is like
competition sport.
I don't know what it stands for actually, but it is like I think the suspension tuning is a little different.
Okay.
And the steering tuning is a little different.
Like even more aggressive, obviously.
Yeah. I've heard that the steering tuning on the M2 and the M2 comp specifically and the M2 CS is significantly better than all of the other 2 series.
Significantly better than any of that platform.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I've heard that. And to be honest, like I would tend to agree with that.
Yeah.
Because of the M2 comp that I drove on track. It felt like that is like that made the 2 Series my dream car. Like it genuinely did. Like aside from a 911, that made the 2 Series my like dream attainable car.
Would you say this car that we've built now is dailyable?
I think it could be. Yeah, absolutely.
Right? I don't see why not.
Yeah. Especially for an enthusiast, like, and the Cayman platform has a front and a trunk.
It does, yeah. When car makers design cars, I wonder how much they actually think about the, I mean, it's possible to change, but like the size of the wheel and the width of the wheel, because that matters a lot in my experience.
You know what? That's one thing that I will say about the standard 2 Series, the M240.
Yeah.
Is I don't have many options in terms of like wide wheels. Yeah.
Because your fenders aren't wider?
Especially in the front. In the front, the maximum I can go is 235.
Is it possible to pull your fenders? Because I pulled my fenders.
I think I can a little bit, but not much. I don't know whether I have a steel fender in the front.
How much space is there inside?
Inside, that's the thing. Inside, there's not a lot of space.
So you're kind of maxed out.
Yeah. So like, I think 235 is the most you can do, like standard.
Do you have any grip issues though?
I mean, I don't. Okay, honestly, if you're asking me straight up, Yes, because but I think that for the most part right now is
Sounds gnarly.
That does sound.
Does not sound like a Porsche.
That for the most part right now is due to the what am I trying to say? It's due to the compound.
Yeah, the softness of the rubber.
Yeah, the compound that I have right now is not great. It's actually pretty horrible. So
I guess you can compensate lack of rubber quality with whiter and thicker. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I want to change the compound anyway. But like just in general, like I tried to do a launch control.
Yeah.
And in an all-wheel drive car, I'm doing a burnout. Like, how is that okay?
That's pretty crazy. That's
how is that okay?
Are you doing a 4-wheel burnout?
Yes. How is that okay?
Cool. That's really cool. It's not okay, but it's really cool.
I tried to do launch control and it did the whole thing where like it threw like a bunch of lights and shit because it was like, this is not okay. Please stop this.
But there's a launch control mode in your car.
Yeah, there is, yeah.
Interesting.
It holds it, I think, for 6 seconds. Actually, but it takes like a couple of like goes to like learn the surface that you're on and modulate the power to work for.
It actually can learn the it's actually torque vectoring in real time.
Not torque vectoring, but it'll do
like the traction
management.
control system. Yeah.
So it takes a couple to learn, but yeah. It was yeah. I was doing a burnout. I was like, oh my god, this is not okay.
I have this weird feeling that there's something that we're missing on the car. I don't know.
It's
why.
fine.
But I think we built a pretty nice car.
I think it is a fire car. Well, what else can we possibly?
I think in this kind of like rant, in this kind of story, this worked out pretty well. It like people can follow our thought process pretty well. Would be able to.
Yeah. Definitely think we should be talking less though. We spent like 2.5 hours.
Was it really?
2 hours.
Was it really 2 hours?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not. Look at the time.
Wow. That's crazy.
We've been talking for 2 fucking hours. Nobody's paying attention for that long.
No one is, but yeah, that's crazy. That's insane. Okay, how do we peace out?
I already did the ending.
Peaced out?
Bye-bye!
Bye! Wow.
I don't know how to...
And this thing is dead.
Oh, it's dead?
Not dead. It's about to die.
Oh, it's about to die.